guys, it's Kiandra with FreshRx Oklahoma, and we are going to do another smart shopping video today. This is at the Reasors at 15th and Lewis. They've got some new programs for those with SNAP and EBT, and a lot of good produce. Some of it's even local from some of the farms that we source from. So come with me and we'll see what healthy options they have. We always want to hit the produce section first. That should be like the bulk of our cart. If you're staying in like the produce aisles and the frozen aisles, you're generally going to get less preservatives and less additives to your food, and we're always trying to get that. They always have a good variety of produce here, especially their corn. It usually comes packaged like this, but a lot of people don't know that the silks inside you can actually make as a tea, and you can utilize the leaves in other ways, and we want to use like every piece of our vegetable, right? And then also they have a nice selection of citrus fruits, which we know vitamin C is very, very good for us. Helps if we're having a lot of stress and cortisol, because that's what cortisol eats off of. But I wanted to show you guys they have jackfruit, which is a really excellent meat substitute. And this is actually a really good price. Like a can of jackfruit that is this size is like $48. So this, I mean, it's per pound, so it's still gonna be a bit, but it is a bit of a hassle to break down, but you could get a lot here and freeze it and utilize it. It's great as like a shredded chicken, or even like a pulled pork. You can utilize it. It's a really good imitation meat, and it's a great way to add more fiber. It's spring and almost summer, so that means that we're gonna have a lot of fruits and melons out. So at most grocery stores, you're gonna find like a pre-cut fruit section, which can be nice for convenience, but I will say they are usually the strawberries that are not as quality. Not that they aren't tasty, but they might be bruised a little bit. It's a little easier not to tell when they're chopped up. Not that the produce isn't up to quality, but it would be cheaper just to buy it whole. Now it is gonna take your time to cut it down and chop it and everything, but what you're paying here, you are paying for convenience, which if you are going on a little trip or you need to pack a quick lunch, obviously this is gonna be a much healthier option than going out to eat. But just be mindful that you are paying for the fact that somebody did chop these up. But having diced fruit in your fridge is actually a really good idea for the summer. It helps keep you hydrated and can help make sure you have enough fiber. So it's up to you to weigh if you want to go the convenience route or go ahead and buy the whole fruit. I say get the more bang for your buck and buy the whole fruit and chop it yourself. I know as diabetics, sometimes we're told not to eat as much fruit, and we can absolutely eat fruit. We just want to make sure we're eating our serving size of fruit and then pairing it with protein and or fat. So apples, for instance, are a wonderful snack. Whether you eat them raw, they're full of fiber. If you stew them, they're full of pectin, which is really good for your gut. You know, they say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But you see how many different color varieties there are? I would recommend getting a couple different types of apples to try, just because there are different types of nutrients in them. Overall, they're gonna have most of the same, but the more biodiversity we can have in our diet, the better our gut health is, the better we're breaking down food and all that good stuff. But they have a great selection, and you can pick and choose how many you want. You can get the big bags of the apples. Those are generally cost effective, but sometimes you can look at the prices and kind of see what is best per pound, and it might be a little bit cheaper just to kind of handpick your own. So obviously we have a bunch of limes and citrus fruits. These are great for teas and mocktails and cooking and zesting and all kinds of things. If we were looking to save money, we might think about a couple things what we're going to use them for, because we have some smaller ones here and you can see they're clearly more cost effective. But if you were making like a limeade or marinade for some kind of chicken or something, you may not get as much juice from this, and so you might have to buy more instead of just getting some bigger ones that look juicy. Same with these lemons. If I was gonna use these to like bake or to zest, I want something that has like more. But if I was making lemonade, that'd be the better option. But if I was just using it for a garnish, or if I was having like salmon or something, the smaller ones are more cost effective. So even though the price can be cheaper, you gotta think about your intended purpose too. But generally, if you're buying mostly produce at the store, you're not gonna run up a grocery bill like if we're just buying meat and like convenient snacks and sodas. That's where your grocery bill gets out of control. We're gonna talk a little bit about berries. So in a perfect world, we could buy everything organic, but sometimes that's not always feasible. I'd highly recommend looking up the Dirty Dozen, which is the 12 produce varieties that have the most pesticides in them. And those are what we're really trying to stay away from. Even though the vegetables are healthy, if they're sprayed with a bunch of chemicals, it's going to have a bad reaction on our body. So This is a great brand of strawberry, both of them, but you can see it's the same brand, and you can see this one is not organic, and you can see this one is organic. Now, these may have different shipment dates due to it, but you can kind of see how these are just not as vibrant, not as juicy looking, where these actually look good, and they probably taste pretty good. They're not molding, even though these haven't had any chemicals on them. These are the ones that are going bad. Imagine that. So for certain things, it does matter to go organic. So I would definitely, price it. Berries can get really expensive, but organic frozen berries are pretty cheap for based on how much you get. You get a huge bag of it. You can de-thaw them for oatmeal. You could put them in smoothies, make popsicles, all sorts of things. But berries have one of the highest contents of preservatives on them. So definitely check out that list. One thing I really love about Reasors is even though it is a bigger chain grocery store, they really try to work with some local farms like Scissortail. They are a local farm and they have some of their fresh herbs here. We source a lot of their produce with our Fresh RX distributions, and they're also at the farmer's market. And you can also find some of their stuff at Reasors. But look how cute this baby is. And this will probably last you. It's $2.49 and this is $3. Have a sunny windowsill and some water. You'll have basil for life. It'll turn into a bush. It's a little more time investment than money, but it's definitely worth it. So now you guys are learning about cooking from home a lot. A lot of the recipes we send out have onions in them. You guys have been getting a lot of spring onions, so you may not need to purchase extra onions at this point, but if you did, there's a big variety. So you have your purple, which is typically sweet, your yellow, which is a little more mellow, and then your white onion, which is kind of the basic. For me, I know I always save more money when I buy a full bag of onions. It's gonna get used, but you can actually chop these and put them in freezer bags and pull them out kind of as needed. Or if you want to meal prep and batch prep, buying the bigger things in bulk. Don't get the pre-cut onions. They have them, so you won't cry a lot, but you're gonna pay double, triple the amount. And you can also save the skins and any of the scraps. You can save them and freeze them to turn them into a broth later. So again, any vegetable is gonna outweigh eating processed things, but we do wanna be mindful of how our food is grown. So if you buy spinach from a conventional grocery store that's been trucked in, by the time it reaches the shelves, it is almost void of nutrients. You're still gonna get the fiber, you're still gonna get a nice crunch, but that travel time, it loses its nutrients, which is silly when we're trying to eat the healthy food to get the nutrients. So one thing we're talking about is the dirty dozen. So like we talked about, in a perfect world, everyone could get organic, no chemicals on any of our food, but that's not always the reality. So just if you can buy organic with those dirty dozen that have the most pesticides, that is great. But you can also really just see the quality in the produce. Even though it's organic, it's allowed to thrive in its natural state without being harmed by any of these chemicals that are gonna go in our body. So it's good to think about not just eating the food, but also the nutrient value in it. So always check the organic section. Sometimes it's not too unreasonably priced. It's $3.29 for 3 things of romaine lettuce. That's about average for romaine lettuce anywhere else. So it might be a few cents more, but it's really worth it. And when you eat as much nutrients, when you eat the nutrients that your body needs, you stop craving as much food. So you actually eat less. Not that we're trying to starve ourselves or restrict, but when your body is satiated and it has all the micro and macronutrients that it needs, you're not gonna be craving all these things because you've already had your nutritional needs met. And that one thing is buying organic, buying fresh as much as possible. See, we can still buy stuff that supports our farmers, even from our grocery store. So shout out to Reasors. Another little section that is one of my favorite is the bulk items section. This is my favorite place to get snacks. So I am a crunchy snack girl. I love to munch and crunch, so finding ways to stay away from chips and things that are just full of garbage, honestly, has been really important. So I like getting things that also have a similar crunch but have nutritional benefits. They have the dehydrated vegetables. They have lots of different almonds and nuts. They've got pine nuts, Brazil nuts. If you eat 3 a day, these are supposed to be really, really good for you. But they have a nice selection. We know that nuts are good for our heart. They're really good on salads. So they have slivered almonds. If you like to have croutons on your salad, you can add almonds or you could sub croutons if you want a gluten-free option that's a little more healthy. Love putting them on everything. And then they have just other fun things, like they have granola, which is just actual granola. You can make this yourself. It'd actually be cheaper if you made it yourself. With the ingredients, you'd get way more. But if you flip it over, all the ingredients are all natural. The first one is rolled oats. It's only 13 grams of carbs per serving, which is pretty low for granola. But they have lots of other different things that you can come and try, and it's pretty cost effective for what you get. The banana chips, those are really good with peanut butter. It's like a really good little snack. So this Reasors on 15th and Lewis is the first Reasors in the state to partner with Double Up Oklahoma, which is a nutrition incentive program. So essentially, if you're eligible for SNAP or EBT benefits, whenever you come to the grocery store, if you spend $20 in produce, you are given $20 in produce. So your next visit, you could come and spend $40. So it's like spending $40 on produce, but only having to spend $20, which is a pretty good bargain. The farmers market and a few other places in Tulsa offer this, but we're really excited that this Reasors is offering that, because most people, when they have access to healthy food, they tend to buy it. So I think it's really awesome that Reasors and Double Up Oklahoma have partnered together to finally offer this for the community. So as we're building our pantry to have a lot of healthy items that are more cost effective, don't sleep on the aisle with all of the pickled things. You can use these for marinades, you can use them in salads, you could use them in like protein pasta salads, you can make different salad dressings. If you like to make like healthy adult Lunchables, having something pickled or fermented on your plate is really good for your gut. And it really lasts a long way. Like this roasted red bell peppers, these are really good in a pasta or pasta-like item. They have chili peppers, and we know that peppers are high in vitamin C. They also have like pickled cauliflower and pickled carrots, which I love to have on my tacos. They add a certain flavor and a crunch, and anywhere I can add more vegetables, I'm going to. They also have olives, which are a really great little snack, especially since they are high in healthy fats and they're really good for our health. Sometimes just like a handful of olives and a couple other things is like a nice little treat. But it's typically not that expensive, and you can really do a lot with your like pickled okra, banana peppers, pepperoncinis. But yeah, having more pickled things into your diet is known to help balance your electrolytes for one, which will be really important for that Oklahoma summer. It is relentless, so you want to stay hydrated. So pickles are a good snack if you want to stay hydrated and have a nice low carb snack. But definitely take a peek at some of the pickled items. You can also pickle them yourself. It is cheaper, a little easier to do, but in a pinch, it's nice to have these, and they last a really long time. So if you buy them, they're gonna last probably until you eat them all. So we're gonna talk pasta. I know that a lot of people love pasta, but it is a very carb-heavy meal, given that we're having noodles. Most pasta sauces also have sugar in it. And then we're having garlic bread or something on the side. And if we're having some kind of sweet beverage with it, it's just kind of a nightmare for our blood sugar. So sometimes doing a few simple things like adding more vegetables to our sauce, buying one that doesn't have sugar, or learning how to make our own spaghetti sauce is super great. And then swapping out our pasta. Now, the best thing you can do is like noodle some zucchini and add it to your pasta. Or we change our pasta to a better brand that has just maybe, not even a better brand. This one is the same brand, but it has protein in it, and it's an angel hair pasta. And they also have whole grain pastas, and chickpea pastas. I love chickpea pastas because we love chickpeas. They're very good for our heart. They have a lot of protein in them. So you might pick and choose what you're making, but like this chickpea, right now it's on sale. But it's 21 grams of plant protein just for the noodles. So that's pretty good in comparison to maybe like 6 to 8 grams of protein in regular pasta. They also have some gluten-free options if you're looking to stay away from gluten. Some people have digestive issues and can cause inflammation, but there are other options. Now, your best recipe would be to do one of these healthier noodle options, add the veggies to your sauce, and then also having like some veggie noodles in there. You'll get super full and you have lots of fiber, and it'll be a very balanced plate of pasta. So a lot of people love taco night, so getting the right tacos can really be helpful. You do want to be mindful when something says that it has low carb or low fat or any of those altered things. Sometimes that means like a crap ton of chemicals instead. but sometimes it just means that it's quality ingredients. Like the chickpea pasta is just like ground chickpeas made into flour, made into pasta. But they have some really great like 0 calorie or 0 carb or low carb options. Now, this one has 2 grams of protein and 7 grams of carbs, and also has a little bit of fiber in it. So they're very tiny and a good size, because the last thing we want to do is have our favorite meal and potentially mess up our blood sugar because we weren't mindful of all the additives going in. So just take your time and look through them. You can see which one is most cost effective. They have a good variety, and the good trick is to buy the one that's on sale that you like and freeze them, and then you can thaw them out and they're just as good as when you bought them. Cooking from home can get pricey, but you can save a lot if you get really into your spices and really into your herbs. So even if you're eating like rice and beans and tofu for 3 or 4 days out of the week, hopefully your diet's a little more diverse with that, with our produce prescription bags that you're getting. But you can really make it a whole different dish each time you make it, with different flavor profiles and trying different spices. Buying in bulk is a good idea. I love that they have these huge ones, so like your main spices, because I know at least in my house we use garlic powder and onion powder and paprika on majority of the things that we cook. So buying them in bulk just makes sense. Fewer trips to the store, and these are great reusable. So if you grow any herbs, you can dehydrate them, grind them, and put them in there, and then you have your own little shaker. You just want to be mindful when it comes to the different mixes. Some of them are very tasty, but some of them have a lot of salt in them. So if you're watching your sodium, or if you have any type of heart conditions where you need to monitor that, you just want to find the ones with no salt in them. A little could go a long way, so this is something that's actually great to buy in bulk. You can use it for a side, you can use it for a whole meal, you can also use it in different soups. So you always want to go to the bottom. They have all these bigger bags. It's always going to be more cost effective. We've got different types of rice, long rice, brown rice, $2.99 for 32 ounces of brown rice. This has about 20 servings. So that's quite a bit. You could get a couple bags. It probably lasts you a few months. There are some stores where you can buy bigger amounts, but they've got some pretty decent sized bags. But definitely grains, oats, rice, those things you want to buy in bulk, you will absolutely save money in the long run. Beans are also a great staple to have in your pantry. I know a lot of people think that cooking beans is pretty hard, but it really isn't. There's a couple different methods. You can use the 24-hour soak and cook method, or you can soak them in boiling water. Like, don't boil them. Soak them in boiling water for an hour and then cook them, drain them, and then cook them regularly. They'll be done. And the good thing about beans is you can cook a big batch of them and they will last quite a few days in the fridge. They can go on salads, they can go in wraps, you could turn them into burgers, you could put them in chili. They're literally, beans give the gift of life with their fiber. They lower our LDL cholesterol levels, and beans is known to satisfy us because it has the protein and fiber in it. So, and it's easier for our bodies to digest than some animal-based proteins. But you can see that there's lots of different bigger bags here. So I know that some people just grew up thinking tuna sandwiches were like a poor man's food, and that might be true, but it is absolutely delicious and it is very inexpensive, especially for how much protein you're getting. We always want to get the tuna that's in water and not oil, but this is a great addition to any salad or sandwich or wrap. And as far as like per serving, like right now it's on sale 10 for 10. It's not always that price, but this one can is the ounces, the amount of ounces that like a serving would be. So you wouldn't eat this by itself, but with other things it can help make a very balanced meal. This is also really great if you are a busy person and are on the go. They have like the bags of tuna too. You can take that and a fork and mix all your stuff in there and eat it with crackers or throw it on a sandwich. And when we're on the go all the time, we want to make sure we're setting ourselves up for success with our snacks and our lunches. We either have a plan in place on where we're going to go and something healthy, or we're bringing something with us. They also have a great selection of sugar-free alternatives. So if you guys are looking to bake, or if you guys have coffee or tea, they have a lot of different options. They've got date sugar, they've got liquid, powdered stevia, monk fruit, and even like a light brown sugar, which still has carbs, but it's definitely better than regular sugar. So if you are somebody who loves sweet tea or loves having very, very sweet drinks, we definitely want to try to swap that out with something healthier. And they're pretty decently priced, and a little goes a long way with this. So you really only need maybe like a third less of what you would use in actual sugar. So it's gonna last a long time. So when we're buying meat, there's a couple things that we want to look at. For one, is anything on sale? Reasors is really good about having lots of different deals every week. So you can look online, or maybe you get their little pamphlet in the mail. But they regularly put those online. So you want to look at what's on sale and then inspect it, because there might be a reason why it's on sale. Not to say they have weird meat practices, but usually there's a reason it's on sale. Sometimes it's just because they have too much and they want to make sure it gets out while it's still good. Another thing is just price compare cuts and looking at healthier cuts. So really, like, the bigger and fattier the meat cut, the more expensive it is. Like, we love a good marbling, right? But if we're trying to reduce the amount of animal fat that we're having, getting something like stew meat might be a little bit better. Now, it does take longer to cook to get that tender because it doesn't have all that fat, but it is possible. You just might have to change your method in cooking the food a little bit. So there's beef for fajitas. There's also carne asada. You can chop it yourself, but it just depends on if you want it already chopped out of convenience. This means more people are handling the meat. But always just check your prices. Usually you can find a deal. And if you're eating your actual portion size of meat, which is 4 to 6 ounces, you're going to eat less meat and save money that way too. So they have a good selection of chicken depending on what you want. I typically like to get like chicken thighs. I think that they're a little juicier, and I like when they're bone-in, skin-on. I use the skin and the bones to make broths for other things, so I'm stretching it as much as I can go to make the most of it. But I know not everybody likes to make their own soup bones, but drumsticks are always going to be cheaper. The cheapest thing that most people don't want to hear is like, buy the whole chicken. Just like break it down yourself, or like spatchcock it. There's so many different recipes you can look at. Use the whole chicken, and then once you use the whole chicken, you can use the bones to make broth. And bone broth is really good for you, especially if you're known to have joint issues or inflammatory problems. A lot of people see a lot of benefits from drinking bone broth regularly, and it's good for the skin, and we always love that. But really, again, you just want to look at the prices. If you're looking at like chicken breasts that have been, cut into tenderloins, those are going to be more expensive because chicken breasts are more expensive, and it's a lot of breast, and also someone took the time to sit there and cut it for you. So sometimes it's more convenient, right? If you want to pay for the convenience, you can, but if you're trying to save money, just take the few minutes and chop it yourself. Just make sure your knife is really sharp, and I promise it's way easier than you think. Well, thanks for joining us while we did some smart shopping at Reasors, how to make our money stretch as much as it can while sticking to our health goals and sourcing local when we can. If you're interested in learning more on how to smart shop, check out the other videos on our channel, and keep an eye out for more in the future. If you want to figure out where we're going to go next, keep an eye out.